I'm Laetitia, at University of Pretoria. Before that, I was in the built environment, being employed by property developers from residential to commercial, the whole spectrum. So that's where I come from practice, but I now teach. Okay. So and we were building before there was BIM. Yeah, I wish I could turn back the clock and, anyway. All right, so I'll just quickly tell you about a study I had to do, because, when you go to varsity, then you have to study again. So, yeah, here I was, after how many years, having to do a study. So I did a study on the impact of digitisation in the property industry, and looking at where the problems were and so on. And I found that the mindset was the issue. So you've got the organizational culture and the structure of the organization. I'll quickly show you the science behind it. Then the real world study that I did, and in the built environment, speaking to the financial institutions, the property developers, the REITs, big property owners, construction, and even estate agents. And then also, at the other hand, all the digital providers, or there was 10 of them, providers of different types of digital software. So that these organizations had used. So there was the bridge, you see. So, okay, and then the question is the organization ready for BIM? Or your client, if you're the software provider, the technology provider, the solution provider, that's the question. Is the client ready for BIM? Okay, so the structures and the cultures are very linked. They're very much linked. Not by 100% default, but 90% of the time. The first one is the traditional structure, the hierarchical organizational structure, where the decision making happens at the top, gets forced down to the people at the bottom, and it's like, you work here now, I'll tell you what to do. Okay. Hire the best minds, and then when they enter the organization ready to start doing what they're good at, then they learn, no, we do it the old way. Okay. But yeah, it's difficult for organizations like that to get ready for technology uptake. It's more difficult for them because of their deep layers of reporting and hierarchy, and decisions are made there, and if a good idea comes from the bottom, it doesn't reach the top. So that's the first type. And then we've got the modern structures, matrix or holacracy structures, look very different, more teams orientated, where people sit in a team, they make decisions in teams, they work with each other, and then employees are even empowered to participate in decision making. Then the highest is the teal model. It's a humanistic organization with organizational democracy and culture and values and so on. And yeah, they look like that, maybe, I'm not sure. But anyway, so in these organizations, decision is made actually from the bottom up. So we want to try and at least get to the middle, where teams can make decisions, and that's an ideal space for the furtherment of digitization. So, and especially BIM. The problem that I discovered was the mindset. So mindset's not just an age thing. I discovered young people with closed mindsets and older people with quite open mindsets. But the mindset is the whole thing, because the mindset of a person shapes what they're ready for, what they will take on, including the decisions that the management team will make, the way they will treat the employees, and whether they will allow them to also participate in problem solving and so on. So you can have the mindset that is opposed to change. It's like, we do it my way. We've been doing it for 30 years. Why the hell you come now with this technology and, digital shit and so on. So that was the attitude I got often. Why we've done it, we've been successful. Okay, and then versus an open mindset where people want, listen, we're going to change it anyway. So, we might as well welcome it and change with the flow, rather than to wait for the entire industry to change and we try to play catch up. But okay, so this is a mindset, the opposed one. It's encumbered with cognitive barriers. So from psychology, because that was what I did before I went to construction. So from a psychological point of view, it's cognitive barriers. It's literally like a stone wall that doesn't want to let new stuff in. It's like, I really don't, I get scared, It's like, when you look at your gran using the cell phone and it seems like she's like disarming a nuclear, you know, that's that kind of scared that I'm talking about. So it's, that barrier prevents you from doing that. And so, and that obviously for BIM, it's very scary sometimes. Opposed to the agile, oh, yaku, agile mindset, see. Okay, so opposed to the agile mindset that is a learning mindset and need to explore alternatives, and this is the mindset where things will change, you know, we might as well go and change along with it. So the organizations that successfully implement digital solutions are the ones with the open mindset. You need it. Okay, so during periods of rapid change, and if you think about the present, you know, that's us, the period of rapid change. So in periods like this of rapid change, the organizational founders or the senior executives with closed mindsets, they really struggle, and they immediately fall back on their old cultures, the way we used to do stuff. You know, when you get really nervous, I worked in one day, I was working with a lady who was a QS, and she just got really nervous because we had a hectic project meeting and we were running behind schedule and so on. And when we got to the office, the first thing she did was she took out her measuring ruler. It's like, okay, at least this is what I know. You know, so you go back to the stuff you were taught when you fall back on your old stuff, and that's the reality. Then it makes it difficult for that organization to meet these challenges. So when inertia sets in, and there's a definition of inertia, when inertia then gradually sets in, that past experience is the only thing people remember. They just go back to that. They can't think about gaining new future experiences and changing. So that's the theory behind it. So it comes from behavioral economics and decision theory. Decision theory is about how we deal with uncertainty and complexity. Daniel Kahneman, I think some of you might know him, Thinking Big and Small, that one. Okay, so he's one of the fathers of that theory. And then the cumulative prospective theory that comes from psychology as well. So you have your traditional hierarchical organizations versus the modern matrix structures and with cultures. And then what happens is when uncertainty and complexity sets in, the built environment has to respond fast. We've got to make changes quickly. Okay, they close almost straight. Okay, how you get your window frames here now, and so on. And now your prices accelerate through the roof and everything. Okay, so we have to deal with rapid change, and the digital impact is one of these changes, and the transformation to BIM as well. So in the old BIM book, 2024, all the theories there about this, if you need to go and read more about the theory and the methodology and so on, but that's the boring stuff. Okay, so the results then just, the executives had very much resistance to change in the hierarchical organizations. Because of these cumbersome decision-making processes, it's slow. It's very slow to implement. Your change management's a slow process. Then the employees feel undervalued because they don't really count. So it's like, okay, eventually I'm like, yeah, so you'll just tell me what to do, so why did you hire me? Okay, I'll just sit here, keep quiet and do what you tell me to do. And then they become despondent. Some leave quickly. Others say, okay, no, you know, I work from 9 to 5, social media most of the day. Yeah, you know that type. So it's a culture of apathy that then develops, which is not great. So changes in senior management, what I found in the industry is once that change is made and a new senior manager comes in who can think out of the box, then those organizations rapidly implement digital solutions. They really try and catch up. They really move forward fast, which is actually quite great. Okay, in the modern and matrix, it's the opposite way. So decision-making is expedited. The leaders are more adaptable. The leaders they actively seek input from their employees. They work in teams. It's like not this deep hierarchy with middle management and then it's more of a team. So the emphasis on well-being of the employees is there, and they treat people with respect. They don't treat you as though you know nothing. And those organizations could implement BIM quite fast. So the hierarchical structures with non-participative cultures delay decision-making, while those with open mindsets can expedite it. The closed mindset hinders the collection of sufficient data for data-driven insight and decisions, and that's what BIM's all about. So data-driven insight you can't get that if you don't have data. You can't get data if you don't collect it. All right, so yeah, become an open mindset organization, and if you're in the industry working as a service provider or a product provider, look for the ones that have these open mindsets, because otherwise your cycles, your selling cycle is very slow. It'll take forever. So where does that lead you? Look at the organizational mindset. Then do they have a shared vision or not? And like I say, it's not impossible to work with those that has the closed mindset with these layers of reporting, but it's difficult and it's time consuming. Slow sales cycles, 2 years, 3 years. All right, and then these are just how to spot the BIM-compatible organization, but I'm not going to go through it, so you know this. And then there's the good news, yippee. So the good news is it's the year of the double fire horse in Eastern Eastern calendars. So what makes this amazing is that it's this year of the double fire horse is very scarce. It only comes about once every 60 years, and it is bound to the fire element and the horse. So that's why it's double. If you understand the metaphysics there. But the nice thing is that in a time like this, huge energy is released, and it's typically the collapse of stagnation and exponential disruptions and change happens. So if you were ever going to do those sales, now's the time. And I think we can see the mindsets are opening. We can see it it's like everywhere. Yeah, even in the galaxies or so. So it's a breaking, it's a bit nice because you're going to be breaking the comfort zones, and this systemic burnout will be replaced with big international momentum. So I'm hoping for that in BIM as well. And yeah, keep your mindset open. That's me.